Let's talk about the time I was about to launch my hair business, and the Lord said, "Nope, not today." It was the year 2021, and my daughter was still a couple of months old, and I was getting back into hair and creativity and fashion and just expressing myself through art because that's just one of my favorite ways to do so. Yeah, my journey with hair just started in my late teens and just been doing my hair from then ever since, just creating some really cool looks, just fun looks. And just loved extensions, weaves, wigs, because you could add so much color, manipulate different structures, styles, textures, and it was just like Candyland for me. Okay, it was just so much fun. Like, doing my hair brought me so much joy. I'm generally a really laid back, just chilled, shy, introverted individual. But through my hair, I was just so extroverted. Like, my hair was extroverted, my sense of style was extroverted. So it's like through fashion, I could express a more louder side of me, and it was really like a companion for many years. It's like, even if I didn't have friends or I didn't have anybody to talk to, hang with, I had hair. I had my creativity, I had my styling abilities, and hair and fashion just were always married in my world, and they went together. It was just so much fun. And finally, got married to my husband, who's also creative and just been a big supporter of everything I do creatively, and just had a great appreciation for everything I did. And he also loved how I expressed myself through hair. So he was with me all the way on this journey. And so finally, we had decided to just literally do the hair business. And I mean, we had been working on this for years actually, from the time we've been married. We had started also like a mobile salon, and so that, okay, that doesn't really align with how we want to move forward with doing business and hair, etc. But we had just started looking for different manufacturers that we could work with in regards to hair supply, looking for different suppliers, and color development, texture development. And a lot of the hair, I was developing the colors and textures myself. And for many years, people would be asking me, "Hey, where did you get that wig? Where did you get that weave? Where can I get it?" And I didn't really have an answer for them because, I'd buy, say, the wig or the weave, raw as it was, and I would develop colors on it. And also I would, change the textures. I worked with synthetic fibers, premium synthetic fibers. Never was into human hair and all of that stuff. Just always stuck to my synthetic fibers, but that were high quality, premium. Yeah, and I could do a lot with that. Yeah, I was limited in terms of colors, but to a certain extent, I could definitely mess around and get creative with some of the textures. And so we had been looking for different manufacturers, and finally we found a manufacturer that would work with us, give us some of those raw wigs, where I could manipulate the colors, the textures, and on top of that, they had some of the colors that we wanted on our hair catalog, so we didn't have to develop everything ourselves. And it was like, whoa, finally. And my husband worked on our website. We did a photo shoot, where I had the different hair. We just created a whole catalog, and working on the price list. And we put the hair up on, the website. And I was now working on the price list hair catalog that I was going to send out for a pre-order for our launch. For our launch of the hair. And so I was working on it, finished at night at around 10 p.m., working hard because the very next morning I wanted to send it out. I wanted people to see the hair, just sit with the hair and let it be on their minds and select what they wanted. Because prior to me creating the price list, whenever I'd post pictures, I'd get so many people in my DMs asking, hey, where can I get that? Where can I get that wig? Where can I get it? And I was just like, okay, I will be selling these. So, just hold on, and I will let you know as soon as I've got the plug, as soon as we are ready to go, I'll let you know. And so I had people waiting already, actually, for me to say to them, we're ready to sell to you. You may purchase. And so that evening, while I was sleeping, I have this horrible dream. Just this horrible dream. And yeah, in the dream, I see myself at this facility, and it looked like a woman's kind of beauty relaxation conference happening. And there were different rooms in this facility where different activities were occurring, like some type of meditation and body stretching and beauty, etc. One thing that was very noticeable and very apparent was the hair on the women. It's like all the women that were there had artificial hair, and the hair just stood out because it was colorful. It was like different colors, rainbow colors, and just beautiful colors, long, and it just stood out. And next thing, when I'm outside of some of the rooms, when I look up in the sky, there is just this gigantic, a huge woman who seems like she was the one running the event, and she was like in the sky and speaking, with this loud voice, basically helping the women in terms of how to move their bodies to the music that was playing, like this type of meditation, relaxing music without any vocals to it. Music you'd kind of hear if you were at a spa somewhere, just like instrumentals, no sound. No vocals. And all the women were just kind of almost in a trance, right? Almost like in a day, it's just moving with the wind as she's telling them to move. And I wasn't participating, and I started standing out like a sore thumb. And so I just made a sweet escape out of the room I was in and just weaved my way out into the facility, found myself by the escalators, and I was climbing up, going up the escalator, and I think I got to the first floor of the facility, and I saw a friend of mine that I knew from back when. And we chit chat a bit, and as we're talking, we start discussing about like parenthood and things of that nature, and motherhood and things of that nature, and in an angrily voice, like shouting at me, saying, that she's had 2 miscarriages and she was really frustrated. And I believe the dream ended around there somewhere, right? And I woke up, and of course I was just so discouraged when I woke up, and I was just so shocked, and I didn't really know what to make of it. I thought, is this some kind of devilish dream that like, what is happening here? But it was so specific, just so specific. And so I got in contact with that friend of mine, and fortunately I still had her numbers. And as we're chatting, I make conversation about motherhood, and we start talking about motherhood and things of that nature. And she upright said to me that, I've had 2 miscarriages. I just about fell over, jaw dropped to the floor, and I'm like, what? It's like, oh my goodness. And that was all the confirmation I needed to know that the dream was from the Lord. And the reason why the Lord added that part in the dream about the friend of mine having miscarriages was to confirm to me that this is me telling you that. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, in the dream, I heard a voice saying, with regards to the hair, that it's a mermaid spirit. It's a marine mermaid spirit, right? The hair. Yeah, that's what I remember. So now I have this confirmation. I just finished talking to this friend of mine, and I know what I need to do. I spoke to my husband, and he was also just so like saddened by it, and I was just saddened by it, but I was motivated by the confirmation of knowing that, the Lord is speaking to me here, And obviously this is not his plan for me or for my life. And so I took, I took all of my hair, all of the samples I had, all of my personal hair that I used, and oh man, I just put the scissors to them. Like I just went scissor crazy and was chopping and cutting this hair to a point that like my fingers started to actually bruise up to where I couldn't even hold the scissors and cut anymore. And by the time I was done, there were bags upon bags filled with hair. Took the hair, threw in the trash, and it was like one of the most difficult moments of my life. And it was almost like I am an Abraham and Isaac moment. Now I know it's not as dramatic and as impactful, and as it's not the same. I'm not saying it is, but I got a bit of a taste of what Abraham had to kind of go through, and just sacrificing something that you feel is your purpose, is your life, something that's meant to be, it's something that's yours, oh, the Lord gave me this gift, this, and this is part of my purpose, going to be part of my journey, this is going to be part of my story, and it's like, yeah, no, you need to give that up, you need to sacrifice that away, and that's how it felt in that moment. It was really difficult. It was really challenging. And yeah, that's the reason why I stopped wearing wigs. So from that day on, I stopped fake hair, wigs, braids, just any kind of fake hair extensions. I stopped that because I just felt that the Lord was just saying something deeper to me regarding fake hair, and and I just completely stopped with the fake hair, and it had been a hard journey. So from that point on, I had already been growing my hair naturally, because one thing I said to myself before my daughter was born was, do I want my daughter relaxing her hair, dyeing her hair, or using fake hair, right? And the answer was no. I want her to have her hair natural. And I was like, well, if you want your daughter to keep her hair natural, then you're going to have to grow your hair natural to show her how it's done. I can't tell her, oh my goodness, you're so pretty and beautiful with your own hair. No, don't dye it. Don't relax it. Don't, do XYZ. Yet I'm doing all that, and where she's never even seen me with my own natural hair. And so that inspired me. So basically my natural hair is literally the same age as my daughter. So it's been a sweet journey right there, just learning my natural hair. And I mean, I had grown my natural hair before, but because I was just so like, oh man, creativity driven, and I always needed something different. I always wanted to try new styles, so I could never stick with one hairstyle for a long time. So this is the longest time I have ever stayed with like one hairstyle. And this is where like now it was like, okay, what am I going to do to my hair though? Because I still have that creativity within me. I still want to create different things with hair, and I don't want to be forced to rock the same hairstyle every day. And it was just this journey to just this creativity with what I call Duke braids. Back in, I don't know if it was 2012, 2013, I started using fabrics to create braids for myself, and I called them the Duke braid. So it's like you have braids and Duke in one. And so that like later after my journey with having to let go of wigs and weaves developed into Duke buns, Duke braids, and head covering braids, head covering buns, head covering, pigtails type of a situation, where I just took head wraps and just express them in a creative way, like almost rocking them like how I would rock a hairstyle, but in a head wrap way. So yeah, it's definitely pushed me creatively to think outside of the box even further, and I'm really enjoying this new journey. And I've just been rocking my head wraps, rocking my fro, and various hairstyles, my Duke braids. I'm just having fun and exploring different ways of enjoying hair and enjoying this new season I am in, just like embracing my hair, not fighting against it working with it, not just like putting a whole lot of product on it to try and make it do things that it doesn't want to do. But yeah, still having fun and still being creative. And I'm just on this journey of developing these duke braids and these, head wrap buns and head wrap ponytails, you know, different variations of head wrappings that you could do that could sort of like mimic what a hairstyle could be like without that much effort, and you're using it as protective head wrapping. So yeah, so it'd be like also protective for your hair, but while it's also stylish. So that has been the journey, and it's been one heck of a journey, but the Lord has been faithful throughout that journey. And yeah, obedience is better than sacrifice, and just because you obey doesn't mean it's going to be easy. And that's one thing we always have to remember. But the Lord is so good, and He helps us honestly through the difficulties, even when we don't understand. And that was just one of the things I didn't understand. I was like, Lord, how could you leave me like rocking my hair for all these years, right? And then finally be like, yeah, I never wanted you to kind of do this in the first place. It was just like a big shock for me, but the Lord helped me through that. I grew through that. So I feel like probably those many years ago, I was not spiritually matured for the Lord to speak to me on that level about this type of information. But when the time came where I was spiritually mature and was about to take a huge step of now entangling other women in this web of fake hair and artificial hair that the Lord perhaps did not want me to be on, He was like, okay, I think you're ready to hear the news, and broke it down. And it was hard, but it's been a sweet journey, and it still is a journey, and I'm loving it. Yeah.